We are Steve and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. Steve and Jill here.
hello.
Welcome to the Land Academy Show, entertaining land investment talk. I'm Stephen Jack Butella.
And I'm Jill DeWitt, broadcasting from sweet Scottsdale, Arizona.
Today, Jill and I talk about how I think you really should be a producer more than a consumer, which is a ridiculous podcast topic because you're consuming this podcast.
About that. I'm like, it's kind of interesting when you wrote that down. You're like, that's a great line. The other day, I'm like, where are we going to go with that? So I do have some questions.
Somebody in our Land Academy accountability group said, they typed this in and said, and so I really think that's good advice for, you need to be a land investor. You need to produce.
Okay, I have questions. I'll save them for the show.
Before we get into it, let's take a question posted by one of our members on our landinvestors.com online community. It's free. And if you're already a member, please join us on Discord.
You love the Discord.
I do love the Discord.
Thank goodness that's not a drinking game. I bet it is, actually.
For somebody it is, yeah.
Oh my gosh. It started on our Thursday columns. Now it's just kind of become a thing that we have a few keywords that we tend to maybe overuse. Like I've stopped saying dreamy, all of you.
I have some too.
Yeah.
Like tragic.
Tragic. Yeah, that's a good one.
Like this is a tragic piece of real estate.
Oh, yeah.
And you're approaching this in a very tragic way.
Exactly. Slopiness. That's another one. So anyway, it's kind of funny. It's turned into a thing. And Discord's one of the words, as is Clubhouse.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
Yep.
So Rebecca wrote, hi all, quick question I need advice on. I have a sold lot in North Carolina. It's closing on January 8th. This was a couple weeks ago then. We had no idea if it was perked. Oh my goodness.
Perked is a drinking word.
Oh my goodness. That's a drinking word for me. That is a trigger word for me. I've got to tell you right now.
It is a trigger word for me too.
I hate perk and any version of the word perk. So we don't even have a percolator coffee thing. Anyway, buyer was told to do her due diligence and sign a contract, seeing they were responsible for all due diligence on the lot. The buyer never did a perk test because it would have taken too long. We're not going to hold the lot for her that long. Neither of us nor the buyer knew if it perked. Today, randomly, some realtor who we don't know just emailed us out of the blue and said, oh, the lot does not perk. An old client of hers ran a perk test and it failed. I don't know who this realtor is or why she's contacting us. Should I disclose it to the buyer? Please advise, please. You want to go first?
Buck responds. This is, in land
Oh,
investors.
excuse me. People wrote in.
Yeah, this gets great. I would not have put this in here if it's not fantastically entertaining.
You got lines and lines here. I see responses.
There's multiple responses, including our moderator.
All right, you want to read Buck and I'll read Rebecca?
Buck responds, sounds like sour grapes. I couldn't agree more. I always refer to buyers to the county. I always refer buyers to the county septic department if they have questions about getting a permit. Getting this hearsay from a questionable source doesn't suddenly make it your responsibility to forward to the buyer. If the county expressly told you that the lot won't perk, then withholding that would be an issue. But that's not what happened.
Exactly. Some random person. So Rebecca wrote, I'll tell you, Buck, this is good. We were supposed to close on 12/30 and the buyer's lender extended it to 1/8. There was even a lender involved. Oh my gosh.
That's why this is an issue.
We would have closed a lot without me even knowing that it didn't perk.
1 second.
Now this random realtor emails me out of the blue. Sorry.
This is all happening because there's a lender.
Yeah.
None of this. Please attempt to refrain selling real estate where there's a lender.
It's okay. I don't know her. I have to be honest. I'm going to tell the buyer what I found out, but also let her know there's alternative septic systems she can get for the lot if by chance.
That's right. It's 5 acres.
And it's 5.28 acres. Walk to another corner.
Yes.
I cannot believe that there are no areas that will perk on this lot with houses around it. Always something. Happy New Year. It's hilarious. All right. And then Kevin, the moderator, wrote, is this the last one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, there's more.
No, this is great.
Wow.
This topic, I know it's taking a long time. This perk topic makes Jill and I nuts.
Yeah.
I will tell you, we're in Arizona. We buy tons of property in Arizona all the time. I don't know if there's any harder from a soil standpoint, place in this entire country to build stuff and to get lots level and grading and all of it. There's granite everywhere. I have never, ever discussed a perk test with anyone, buyer, seller, realtor, lender, in my entire career of almost 16,000 real estate deals.
I'm trying to make this an entertaining podcast, and it's
What
sounding
the hell? Go ahead.
Okay. Today's podcast is just reading letters. Come on, let's speed this up here. I'm going to say, okay, so we have two more. One's our moderator, Kevin, and one is Lori Phillips. So Kevin wrote, Rebecca, you know what? That information is completely useless coming from a realtor. Some realtors really dislike investors. Boy, that's true. And believe me, incorrectly, and they believe incorrectly that we're doing something illegal. They could just be trying to throw a wrench in the works. Yeah, by what proof do we have? Yep. You know what I mean?
I agree with
you. You have
Kevin.
an agreement with the buyer that stipulates that the buyer is to complete their own due diligence. That was all legit. I think that the presence of houses in the surrounding area is a strong indication. That's a lot well perk. Shut up and let it close.
Thank you, Kevin.
That's me too, man. And then finally, the last comment is this from Lori. Hi, Rebecca. I've had both realtors and neighbors at my properties tell me crazy stuff in an effort to manipulate things in their favor. They do not ever provide unsolicited negative input out of the goodness of their dark, devious hearts. When it comes to any kind of test, I tell the buyer to talk to the county. I don't want to give them the wrong info, even if it's something the previous owner told me, such as it has a working septic. If I was the buyer, I sure wouldn't make a decision based on something the seller heard from a stranger that heard it from someone else. Consider the realtor maybe saying this because he wants to buy it himself.
Yep.
And then when he builds a house, your buyer got scared away because
by hearsay,
it's going to be more than a little mad. This won't be the last time someone throws a snake in the table during one of your deals.
That's right.
It's our responsibility to share the facts. I don't waste time doing someone else's homework. Best, Lori. It's just the weirdest thing. There's something weird about that. Why would you? It's like a car driving down the street going, they have had 6 recalls over da-da-da. I'm like, I'm not going to turn around and take the car back. I'm going to go do my research and go, that guy's full of it.
I should mention that a perk test is a soil test to see if water can be absorbed.
And it has to be at a certain density, has to absorb within certain minutes/hours, has to absorb X amount of gallons.
And it only applies to when you need a septic, not city sewer.
And we, correct me if I'm wrong, it's an individual that goes out there and does that.
Yeah, they just
it's not like they have a big machine and it takes up an acre and they have to do 8 million holes. So that's my whole point too.
It can be completely and totally manipulated one way or the other.
Right.
It's the opinion of somebody who's probably got less education than you do.
I was going to say like something else, but I don't want to make anybody else mad. But yeah, walk to another corner. If it didn't.
5 acres is huge. If you've ever walked perimeter of 5 acres, you better pack a lunch.
That's hilarious. It's just so weird. Why would somebody randomly out of the blue send an email like that you don't even know? I wouldn't trust it for that factor too. If it was somebody I was working with or the area, like, hey, by the way, I'm trying to help you out here. It's going to come back. And I knew them. But still I'd have to go out and do my own homework. It's like, I'm not going to raise red flags for nothing.
Why, Jack, did you put all of this in here in this podcast?
Yes.
Usually,
please tell us why.
Usually it's a simple question with a simple answer and then maybe some banter. Because this perk test topic drives both of us nuts.
Yeah.
And it drives everybody nuts. And so here's the takeaway from all of that. Don't believe anybody. If you get a perk test back, I don't know why you would, like Lori said, I'm not sure why you would ever do one anyway.
Right.
The only real reason would be is because the lender's making you do it, which I sort of understand, but then don't get a lender. If it doesn't come back the way you want it, get another one from another person. It's
kind of like accountants, honestly, and, different tax people and lawyers.
Today's topic, be a producer, not a consumer. This is the meat of the show. During our accountability group last week, somebody said, type this in. I don't know if it was accountability group or the Thursday webinar. I'm not sure. They said, be a producer, not a consumer, in response to something that somebody said. And I think that's the sentiment of that sentence is so important because I had this conversation with myself 5 years ago before we started the show and before we started Land Academy. I almost felt obligated to like, Jill and I spent years and years, and we've been working together for over a decade. I've been doing this since the early 90s, and it's almost like...
It feels like 5 minutes. It's been that long.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So you're like, whew, that's a time. Yeah, it's been a while.
Like, we're coming up. Next week will be 1,500 shows, 1,500 episodes of this silly podcast.
Yeah.
I almost felt obligated. Like I'm standing and staring at myself in the mirror saying, I got to,
spread the knowledge.
Done fantastically well financially. And from we get to choose our life now. And it's like, I got to share this with people.
What does Gary say? There's something about the knowledge tree. And
oh, yeah. Share the tribal knowledge.
That's it. I kind of
we
like
have a friend Gary, who's a lot older than us. And
yeah,
he's very eager to
share the tribal knowledge.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. I think it's good. So why did you put this in here? Do you just want to share like that you felt you had a calling?
Here's my
Okay.
I think enough about me. Here's my point. There's a lot of people who are probably listening to the show and are thinking, I probably should do something different with my career. And I'm not saying you should join Land Academy at all. I'm just saying if you're on the fence about it, don't be on the fence about it. I would really just try to be a producer, not a consumer. That's produce your own career.
Pretty big. I'm trying to think here. Don't be on the fence about it. Commit.
Well, I think it's very easy at this day and age, more than any other time that I know that I'm familiar with, to really sit in front of a screen. We all have 10 screens going now at the same time.
True.
And consume what somebody else has already produced.
Oh,
and this is ironic because I know that you're consuming this right now. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying go start your own podcast. That's ridiculous. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. What I'm saying is, I'd go buy some real estate if you're thinking about it. Be a producer, not a consumer.
That's deep. That's deep. I was thinking about Land Academy when we started Land Academy. That's what I thought you were going with this, and that at least that's how I see it.
Well, I mean, that's certainly true with Land Academy, but that was only after decades of, failing at stuff and learning and experience and all that.
Mm-hmm.
In my case, decades. In Jill's case, the most recent decade.
Happy you could join us today, 5 days a week. You can find us right here on the Land Academy Show.
Tomorrow, the episode on the Land Academy Show is called The Story of Two Broker Opinions. You are not alone in your real estate ambition. Yet another topic that came out of
our Thursday.
Yeah, the Thursday webinar.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a member, you got to check this Thursday webinar out. We've done almost 500 of them now. They go 2 or 3 hours. We review everybody's deals.
It's pretty awesome.
Very, it's become a cult.
Yeah.
Kind of a cult meeting. It's a blast. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. Hey, by the way, if you need access to any sort of ownership or property details, including owner phone numbers and FEMA flood map overlays, check out neighborscoop.com. Created by investors, that's us, for investors like you. We're Steve and Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you find our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.